For a second, I thought I had my seatbelt on.
That's like the first thing you want to do.
I always come
Sit down.
safe with my Oogie Loves bag.
Complete with seatbelt.
Exactly.
Our bags are like that. They're like, they have the seatbelt strap, yeah.
It's kept me safe on many occasions. Ooh, my lunch is in there.
don't rob that guy. He's got an Oogie Loves bag. He's up to shit.
You know he's twisted.
He's dangerous.
There's like a magic vacuum cleaner in there or something. It's gonna take our balloons. Well, since our track record is usually really good in watching these live action Disney movies, did you like Pete's Dragon? Because I think that's the only one I did.
Yeah, and even then, just enough. I thought the kid was really good and stuff, but I'm one of those assholes where I'm like, you shouldn't have known the dragon was real. Like, that's me being a prick, but it's like, as a whole, the movie's fine.
I remember really, really liking it, but I only saw it the one time when I saw it in the theater. There was 80% of this movie I loved.
There is like 2/3 of a movie that I really found super entertaining, which
Same.
is 2/3 more than I thought I was going to like, and that's really saying something. And what kind of is a shame is that it's not quite a film where you can say, I know the exact point where everything went downhill, because was sprinkled shit kind of through the whole thing, but like for most people, like, I don't care, because the rest of this is really entertaining and really cool, and a rockin' soundtrack, and it seemed like it was actually telling the story of a Disney villain. Like, where it's not she's just misunderstood, she has this tragic backstory, but that's fine. And then at the point where you're like, okay, this has got to be the climax, I don't know if you're like me, did it suddenly hit you, oh fuck, there's like a half hour left, and they're gonna screw it all up.
Yep. 100%.
God damn it!
And I can pinpoint the exact moment it happened for me. I'll mention it here in a little bit, but the movie, in the first 3 minutes, it was a little iffy.
Yeah, we're already like, oh man, let's get the jokes ready, man. But
pretty quickly, it turned around.
And I can name the exact moment when it turned around. It was the moment where we both were laughing because we're just like, fuck, did we just see that?
Yeah. Where it was legit funny and entertaining
and dark. Like actually legit dark, and something, again, I was like, all right, I don't give a shit about Cruella de Vil's backstory, but, for a while I was like, all right.
You're making me care about this.
Yeah, if she's gonna have a backstory, pretty good one.
The first few minutes felt like a modern Disney movie where she's a little girl, she's with the doll.
And she's born with the black and white hair, right?
And they throw the name in there too. The mom's like, remember your name's Estella. What do you think you are, Cruella? Or something like that. Ooh, really that should be my name. I'm like, all right, here we go.
The Dalmatians growl at her and all that stuff. Yeah, there's some dumb shit like that. But yeah, it, like you said, pretty quickly, it has this shift where it goes into a legit good origin story that the feel I got from it was, did you ever see a Series of Unfortunate Events, the movie?
I didn't actually.
Oh, it's actually, you probably like it.
Yeah.
But it had that vibe where just all this poor shit happens to, the kids in the movie. It was like that, except if it was the origin story of the bad guy Jim Carrey plays.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, there's bad shit happens to him, but they're not, like, he's not gonna stay good. He's gonna turn evil. He's gonna want to get revenge and stuff. And I was fucking digging it. And this is, God, how often can you say there's a Disney live action, whatever, remake, reboot, whatever, that has a really kick-ass song list?
Oh my, ELO, the Zombies, the Doors, Rolling Stones.
This is a really fucking great soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, my knee was tapping throughout most of this movie. It did hit a point with a couple of songs when I was like, okay, what year is this taking place in? Because for a while I was going like, all right, it's kind of got this very late 60s, early 70s vibe, but then like a disco song will happen later on. I'm like, okay, I guess this is just sort of an anything goes and what year this is kind of taking place in. But when it started feeling way less like Disney and more like an old British crime movie, I was having a lot of fun. The characters had really good chemistry with each other.
Yeah.
They were likable and funny, and the villain is great. Emma Thompson is fantastic in this film.
I will say this, I do like Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
And when I saw the trailer for this, I was saying, man, this is just kind of always the role she's gonna play now.
Similar to what she did in Late Night.
Yeah, I mean, just like half the movie she's in now, I feel like she plays this role. But I will say, she does it well.
She does it incredibly well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Devil Wears Prada meets a Bond villain, kind of in this movie. And with it feeling just like this kind of British caper movie, I was kind of thinking, like, if you were to ask somebody which was the Guy Ritchie modern live-action Disney movie that he directed, you probably wouldn't say Aladdin. You'd think it was this and not Aladdin.
Yeah, and, Stone, for the most part, is really good, too. I really like her when because again, they do make it very clear. There's Cruella, and then there's Estella. Estella's a little nicer, but she's not nice. I like that. And she still has a little bit of the voice, but it's not quite so over the top. And I will admit, I like that a lot more than when she did the Cruella shtick. And again, I would not have predicted I would have liked that.
Yeah.
But when she does the voice and the black and white hair, I mean, it's like, it looks like she's having fun, so I'm having fun, but the film did a little too good a job making me care about her. Because when she actually comes out, so when she shows up at the party, the first time she comes out, it's in the trailer, she lights the dress on fire, turns red, which is a really fucking great moment. I mean, I was just like, okay, I actually was about to say, I fucking love this movie. At that point, I'm like, I am in love with this movie. I love the hell out of it. And then she just decides to change. Now the two henchmen, which are more like friends at that point.
Yeah.
She comes out with the voice and the black and white hair, and they're like, oh, well, who's this? Oh, Stella's no more. It's Cruella, darling. And I'm just like...
It was a pretty quick change.
Yeah, okay, all right. But it's like... It didn't bother me too much. Not
really. Like, I was thinking in my head, like, this seems kind of fast, but let me see. But I am loving this. Like, I was watching a majority of this movie, really, going, this is the best one of these by a mile.
Yeah. It didn't even feel like, again, with the exception of the opening, it was not feeling like a Disney remake. Every once in a while, they sprinkle a little, we gotta do this. And sometimes you gotta see those check marks they gotta do, but it didn't feel forced. It felt like there was a real passion, like somebody legit wanted to tell this story in their own unique way that had great style to it. Legit good pacing for a while. And
it did.
Yeah, and good performances. Again, amazing music. Even, I'm not really a super fashion guy or anything, but I'm just like,
really
the
cool
fashions in this are really fucking cool.
Yeah.
So, it was the first Disney remake for a while that I was, for a good chunk of it, that I was like, this is not only entertaining, like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool movie.
And the sight gags in it too, and some of the physical humor, like where they do this montage of having these people thrown out and arrested whenever they're upstaging
really
her. It's really funny. And some of the sadistic shit she's doing to these people that she works with, from tasing them. It was getting a genuine laugh out of me quite a bit.
And there was a good dark edge to it. It did not feel phony. It felt like, okay, this takes place like in a legit kind of dark world. Again, I mean, I know you haven't seen it, but anyone watching, if you've seen A Series of Unfortunate Events, 2/3 of this movie has that feel, and I think that's good for a movie like this.
2/3 of it has a feel that is very much not like a Disney movie until it begins feeling like that. I'm not going to spoil this movie, but the part for me where I was like, this is taking a turn, and I have a feeling I know where it's going, and it pretty much played out just like that. There's a twist in this movie involving one of the characters. That was the turn for me.
Well, and there's technically a couple twists, but one was pretty easy to get.
Yeah.
And it is one of those where I'm thinking, if this was really an awesome movie, they wouldn't do this first twist. I know they're going to, but I'm just imagining my head. Wouldn't it be cool if they didn't? But it's like, all right. And then they do a second twist, which I guess I didn't get, but I wasn't looking for, because I'm like, well, they did the one twist. That's how these Disney remakes work. And then they throw in this other one. like I said, which is around the point where it's like, they set up like the climax is about to happen. Okay, here we go. And then it doesn't. They throw in this twist right when you're ready to get your coat on. And then they're like, here's this twist. And then you have them, discussing the twist. And then you have her coming to grips with the twist. And then what is she going to do about the twist? Then she has her telling everyone else about the twist. And then you have them like, well, let's see how we feel about the twist, and then them trying to plan this revenge around the twist, and then that taking forever too, and it's like, oh my god!
And you know where it's going, you know where it's gonna end up, and it gets really far-fetched to the point to where I'm like, I'm not buying that this would play out like this. This would kind of be an easy situation for a certain person to get out of.
Well, and let's be honest too, there's a lot in terms of plausibility. There's a ton of things you can poke holes in, like, the fashion designer in this can't tell that Emma Stone is Cruella. I'm the person that would fall for Clark Kent isn't Superman. I can tell that she's Cruella, but it's one of those things where it's like, I'm enjoying the rest, I don't care. When I'm getting ready to go home and say, man, that was a good film, just give us one last little sequence and we're good. And it has a half hour left. I just don't care. I was just staring at a blank screen for all I cared. I just did not give a shit at all. And on top of that, it came around to all the Disney remake cliches that, again, I guess not to give anything away, but like, Maleficent kind of ends the same way. It's like, and Wicked ends kind of the same way. It's like, oh, is she? We're doing this. And then there's an end credit sequence that
made no sense.
Yeah, that at first now you're like, wait, so she really isn't now. Now at least it can kind of lean into what happens in 101 Dalmatians, all the bad stuff she's gonna do there. And then it's like, nah, that's probably just a story that was written about her. They're doing that shit, and it's like, oh.
When it hit me in that last half hour, I was like, this isn't going to have any teeth to it. If you had any thought before then, because there's a majority of this movie that I really, really do dig the hell out of, but it does reach that point where I'm like, there's not going to be really any teeth to the last act of this. It's not going to really go as evil as maybe you want it to.
Yeah,
and they throw in that credit scene where it's like, you can't do both here.
It clearly. And that is a shame, because there really was 2/3. I knew it wasn't going to go quite as dark as I wanted it to go, but it was still going darker than any of the other Disney remakes. And it was doing it in a cool, stylized, funny, entertaining way. And I was really impressed by that. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, I mean, if you're watching this, and like I said, you're getting to a point where you're like, oh, this must be wrapping up soon. If you're watching this at home, whatever, just stop. Just stop the movie. If you want to read a synopsis, what happened afterwards, you
just
can do
stop
that,
it and say to yourself, then she starts killing dogs.
Yeah, exactly. That's honestly, I mean, if we get into spoiler territory, I'll tell you exactly how I wanted this movie to end, because there was a point where I'm like, it'd be so cool if this happened, but I don't think. I can say it, because it's not a spoiler. There's a scene, because this is in the trailer too, one of the Dalmatians eats this, what you call it?
It's like a locket.
Yeah, a locket, like a necklace or whatever. And Cruella really wants to get it out of him, so they're waiting these dogs to pretty much shit it out. And that's one of the subplots, you're waiting for that to happen. And at the end, or I shouldn't say at the end, but during one of the scenes that looks like it's getting close to the end, she comes out doing this fashion show, and she's wearing this Dalmatian coat, has spots on and everything, and the villain looks in and says, she killed my dogs, she kidnapped them and turned them into a coat. And I said to myself, if this film wanted to be like an A+ movie for me, she would look at her and hold up the locket and roll the credits. But they're not gonna do it, and they sure did, and they reneged on like almost everything they were building up.
I know, exactly. That's where you go like, now I wish this wasn't Disney. Or 2021 Disney.
I wish this was 40s Disney, man, because they wouldn't give a shit.
I wish this was 90s Miramax. But I do recommend it, because the flaws that I have in this movie, the issues that I have with this movie, largely in the first few minutes, then the last half hour. It is a 2 hour and 15-minute movie where there is like a full-length movie there that I really did dig the hell out of.
Yeah, I think it just depends what you're going to be let down by.
And if it's going to
ruin the whole thing. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I am glad I saw this movie. There's a lot of it I wouldn't mind seeing again.
Same here.
Like I said, I mean, there's just so many sequences, the way it was shot, again, just like the designs of these crazy ass costumes, and I mean, it's
the music cues.
Yeah, it's not often that I get too big into the soundtrack of a movie where there's like a lot of songs of the time period and stuff, but this is just loaded and they're just good songs. I mean, some of them are obvious choices, but it's just like, it's allowed because there's just so many good ones in a row, and it just keeps the energy and the momentum high, and everyone, there's no annoying characters in this movie.
No, there's
either.
really not.
Yeah, everyone's really charming. You know, there can be annoying lines, annoying moments, but there's never, again, till maybe the last third, there's no moment where I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Except maybe that first few minutes, but even then, we've seen a lot worse.
Oh, yeah, and because of that, like, I was sitting there, like, when it early on and in midway and later in the movie, where I was sitting there shocked by how much I was enjoying this. And I didn't want to get up to use the restroom at one point because I was like, I'm afraid I'm going to miss another really kicking song that I might like. I'm going to leave and the Kinks will start playing or something. Come back and it'll be it's like when you're listening, when you're flipping through the radio station and you're like, sweet, I love this song, but it's like the last few seconds of it.
Yeah.
I'm just disappointed. Or it's just like a radio ad that's a montage. I don't remember a DJ talking in this song. But I would, because what I was let down by with this, which was the last act of the movie, it didn't ruin the entire experience for me, but I could see people being different.
I can see people saying, like, it did ruin it for them. I can totally see people saying it. I will admit it didn't for me. Actually, the way you were putting it was pretty good. It's kind of like you're hearing this really cool montage of songs, and then you find out it's a commercial for a really shitty product. But you know what? That montage of songs, it's pretty cool. It's just the ending when you find out what the actual product is, and you're like, fuck off.
Yeah.
But that song montage is pretty good.
Yeah, it's like, well, maybe I do need some Energizer batteries. I'll go out to 7-Eleven and get some. I'd give it, I'd probably give it a B+. I will say, like, I'll bump it up to a B+ from a B because I was just genuinely surprised by how much of this I really did enjoy, and especially in comparing it to a lot of these we've seen.
Yeah.
What was the most recent one? Mulan?
Yeah,
it's
Mulan.
way goddamn better than that.
Yeah. I'll say B-.
Yeah.
I'm on the cusp of C+, but I'm just like, there's just a little too much for me to like.
But there was a large chunk of this movie where I was sitting there going like, oh, A- or something like that.
Yeah, no, totally, 100%.
Yeah.
And the minus, honestly, would just be for like the first couple minutes. Oh, that's a little lame. And every once in a while, like a little drop of lame. But again, in an ocean of awesome.
Yeah.
And then that ocean hits like a waterfall. You're like, where the fuck did that come from? And
Maybe she'll kill some dogs in the next one.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I can't. If you watch this movie, tell me if it's still the setup of she's gonna kill dogs in terms of the coats, how the hell the mid-credit sequence works. We were like trying to explain it to each other, like, wait, this is the evil plan? What?
God. It's like if you're watching like a prequel about Frollo and he ends the movie as Gandhi, but then there's a mid-credit scene where he throws a baby in a well. Sure. I feel like something's missing when those credits were on. Yeah. This one, not bad. Like, yeah.
Until it got bad.
Until eventually Disney.
Yeah.